It's in our heart to want to have that ability to control everything around us as much as possible. Because we're afraid, because we're driven by fear. Because we're bound to that animal that wells up cravings that we follow. It speaks the word that we listen to, that instinct. That puts that fear and puts those cravings in us. It drives us. It makes us want to survive. It makes us want to establish our own purpose, our own way. And hold that thing up as the good thing, the only true thing. The purpose, our purpose, individually, collectively, we make into something good. Our own purpose, to do whatever we're doing. To survive better. To replicate ourselves. To build a bigger wall to hide behind. To find a better thing to hide behind. Better identity. More respectability. God doesn't follow the course of man. God does not accommodate man in what he's willing to accept and what willing to have, willing to hold up as good. God does not conform to man's demand and commands that God needs to be a certain way before man will accept him. God doesn't care. God's not, as the Christians claim, just looking for a man's acceptance, like some cheap whore that they make him into. It's just sitting there waiting for man to come to him and accept him and want him. God doesn't care. God chooses. God does what he wants to do. God doesn't fit his purpose into man's system. God's purpose is accomplished in the life of those he chooses to put it into, and who are willing to be courageous enough to look past what makes them feel good, feel secure and safe. Courageous is what God wants. Courageous enough to be honest that everything man holds out as good is shit. It's no good. It's crap. It's just the same old shit. It's the same things that they challenged the Son of God with and said, no, this is right and you're wrong. You need to conform to our way. You need to conform to the law as we have made it, as we have defined it, refined it for your good. So if you're not going to conform to what we have already decided is good, then get out. We'll kill you. We'll kill you before we'll listen to you. We'll even listen to what you have to say, not to mention accept it as some reality, as you claim, is genuine and authentic. As though we should just know what they're talking about when they talk about sin, sinfulness, sinful nature. Like it's sort of taboo to even talk about what it really is, but just just label it because you don't want to get close. You don't want to admit anything. You don't want to be honest, especially in front of people, because you have to put on this front, this face that you're unaffected by it. So we talk about sin as being something over there, something that we're kind of unaffected by. Even though we say we are affected by it, we act like we aren't affected by it, because it's always something over there that's not really affecting me right now. But I'll talk about it in a far removed sense. So what is it? What does it look like? It's cravings. It's the cravings that get welled up. It's the craving to indulge in things that need to be satisfied and fulfilled within our heart and our mind and in our psychological being, not just physical. Because even sexual urges aren't just physical. Sexual urges play out their roles or their instances in us in very psychological ways. It's all part of a psychological mechanism that happens, part of the way that the animal proposes the urges when it wells them up, when it tells us, do this, indulge in this. It is physical also, of course. It's about feeling. But it's also about satisfying an urge, satisfying a craving, satisfying something that needs to be satisfied. And that's not entirely physical. That's a feeling, but it's not all physical. It very much has to do with our heart and our mind. Well, our mind and our feelings, which it's not really our heart, of course, but the heart as it's known as far as thinking and feeling. Nobody really wants anything good. Nobody wants to find anything genuine. And if they do, then they settle. They settle for this made-up gods, these made-up religions, because they look and they say, oh, well, that must be true. If everyone agrees, then, hey, it can't be wrong. If everyone agrees, they would all be wrong. And we're all in the same boat. Well, guess what? They're all wrong. They've always all been wrong all the time, because they just make shit up. And if they can find a bunch of people that agree, then that can become valid. That can become a god. That's what they've done with all of the gods that they worship. They say, hey, let's make this thing a god. Let's make this person a god. Let's change what he did. Make it different.